Welcome to an exploration of sight and mind, a travel through the world of films and the artists that bring you these masterpieces. Do you love films, directors, actors, cinematographers, editors, composers, or any of the hundreds of artists that bring you these feats of art? I am Luis Lacau, your host into the world of films, your guide to Manbitesretro. We come into this world alone and we leave the same way. The time we spend in between, time we spent alive, sharing, learning together, is all that makes life worth living. That's a line straight from Jeangray, Uncanny, Volume 1. Why am I mentioning a comic on a movie show? Well, because that's the best line that Jeangrey has in pretty much any of the franchises, and it comes out in the animated series. And guess what? We're going to be talking about the animated series as well this week on Manbitesretro, and we are discussing Jeangrey as a character from X-Men and so much more with the amazing guest, Amber Love. Welcome back.
Hi, I'm back.
Yes, you are. So Jeangrey is Jeangrey Summers, as they call her, or which a lot of people don't know is Marvel Girl. So yeah.
Yep.
That means she's part Marvel. And Dark Phoenix and all these other names, all these other iterations of this character. She's probably one of the most intricate characters we have on X-Men. I think she's the only one that crosses over into all 7 different alternate realities. Which is kind of interesting, because it creates a whole hell of a havoc on the movies and TV shows and everything in between. And it's kind of hard to adapt her into a film itself. We saw their attempt in Last Stand. We saw their attempt in the most recent movie, which we'll go over now. Amber, what did you think about the latest movie of Phoenix?
Well, I usually don't give a full out review the first time around. I mean, I'll give off like little clip hits, but usually I have to see it second time around to know my full details of it. But I have seen it. I wasn't supposed to see it, but I got the opportunity to see it, so I saw it. And I actually didn't mind it, but as a Dark Phoenix fan, I did mind it. But I do like the actresses and actors, so I thought what they did with it wasn't bad, but it could have been a tiny bit better, I think. But it's really hard to cover something so big and something so small, so they didn't do too bad. But I mean, there's some pinpoints I can point out, but I don't know how far I can spoil it. So what did you think about it?
Honestly, I thought it was decent. It was a lot of meandering and a lot of random things that they tried to plug in for the fans, but it made no sense to the storyline if you've never read the comics. So I think that's where at least for me personally, I completely got lost in some of those sequences. I'm like, what? How? What? What? And then it was a lot of continuity issues that were jarring as hell for me. And I think that's where the whole internet is going nuts and haywire. So I'm not even going to go into that because everybody's already talking enough about that. But honestly, just overall, this is probably one of my least favorites of the franchise. But the character deserves so much better. And I was hoping that they would tie in with Marvel, and they didn't. I was like, come on. Yeah. We could have done some tie-in with Marvel at this point. And I'm hoping that Marvel is going to take on the responsibility and mix in the characters. They're going to reboot the X-Men franchise and go full force into everything restarting. They could choose the same actors if they want to, which there's some that are, you can't get Fassbender or all these different actors that really stand out, replace them with other characters and all that stuff. But I mean, Jean's been played by how many different actresses already at this point?
Yeah, so, it's a lot.
I mean, there's 6 different actresses that have the title of Jeangrey. Actresses. So
I know
it's insane. But honestly, I think the biggest thing that we should focus on with Jeangrey is the animated series, because I think that's the one that we all love. And this is the reason that we fell in love with the character of Jeangrey, was because of the comic books, obviously, and the animated series, right?
I agree.
So, what was your favorite part about the comics? What did you enjoy about this character in particular? Why do you personally identify with Jeangrey?
She's like, I wouldn't say she's like, well, I mean, it's hard to describe it unless you read all of it, like from beginning to the end, well, to where she's at now, in other words. If she's still there, that is. I really haven't read the newest one in particular. I just started trying to get to the newer comics recently. But the older ones into towards today comics, she's like a faceted character. She's complicated, which is pretty cool. And then she gets much more complicated when Phoenix comes in more, and it keeps going from there. So she just keeps you interested a lot, and she's just very boom there, bold, like kind of like a look at me look, but an interesting undertone of it. So you just kind of like she's there kind of thing in the comics. But it's pretty good.
Yeah. And in the animated show, it's about the same thing. She's kind of like this dorky personality that has telekinetic powers, but very, very mousy. She's very quiet, reserved, and kind of like, Cyclops is the best I could do. Let me just stay quiet and pretend that nobody else exists, type of thing, until she is absorbed by the Phoenix and her real personality comes out. And I think that's where you see the Phoenix gives her the confidence that she's always wanted and always needed. And I think that's kind of a metaphor for a lot of people that have that kind of reservedness about them, that they want to be somebody that could pop out of their shell suddenly and completely be outside of their shell and be this extravagant, amazing person that they are, and show that to the world, because they have that underneath. That power of the Phoenix is underneath. But Jeangrey herself controls herself and pulls herself back to be that reserved mouse, when in reality, when she releases that energy and releases that power, she's more powerful than Xavier. She's more powerful than Magneto. She's one of the most powerful mutants in Earth, and that's why the Phoenix chooses her. And I think that's interesting, seeing that, because it's that power of unleashing yourself, that power, that metaphor of unleashing your own personal self-worth and showing that to the world. And that's what she represents, especially in the conversion to the Phoenix.
I agree. That's really a good way of putting it completely, like thoroughly. I mean, how it happens, the Phoenix too, that's an interesting part. Because the newer films didn't quite cover it, but the animation kind of covered a bit of it, quite a bit. It's actually covered a lot of it, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised it made it. And I was like, wow, it's good.
Yeah, they go into this weird kind of alternate dimension stuff with the whole her kind of sacrificing herself on the space shuttle and crash landing into the sun. And right before that happens, though, the Phoenix, she cries out in anguish, and the Phoenix comes to her rescue because she realizes that vessel has the power to harness her power, and only a being of great power can harness the Phoenix, and someone that's selfless as well, that's willing to sacrifice themselves. And that's why the Phoenix chooses her, and then she crash lands to Earth and unleashes all kinds of stuff, and she gets completely possessed by the Dark Phoenix because she's still not out of her shell. Jeangrey herself is not out of her shell and can't control the Phoenix. But that changes quickly, doesn't it?
Yes, it definitely does.
And that's when we see her come out, which is really, really cool. And what else did you like about that storyline in the animated series?
It was really fun. It was all the characters interacting. I mean, it was really cool because I rewatched it recently too, because I haven't seen it since I was in high school. I think back when Blockbuster and Hollywood Video was around. So
yeah,
that lasted a while, but it was pretty good though. I remember like all the characters how they reacted to it. Like Beast was like so fascinated by it and everything. She has all this big boom, this power and everything. It's kind of like really a fireworks show in the animation series. Especially when I was a kid, that was probably like amazing to me as a kid. See, so that was pretty cool.
Well, put it this way, I'm gonna age myself. I remember these cartoons when they came out. I was
Oh
watching it
my
when it was
god.
actually coming out every week, and yeah, I loved it though. It was. I'm not a Marvel person. I'm not a Marvel person in any way or form. I'm not a comic book person. I've never enjoyed comics as a kid. Never read a comic as a kid. I got introduced to the Batman animated series through my cousin, and the what do you call it? What do you call it? X-Men series, animated series. That was my introduction to comic books. I never
Yeah.
touched anything else, and that it blew me away because the X-Men series has become my favorite series. The characters that I identify with the most and really love of the Marvel characters are all X-Men characters. And Jeangrey is one of them. Like her personality is just phenomenal. It's that type of empowerment that you saw in Princess Leia, that you saw in all these amazing women that came out in cinema and film history, and they're just outstanding and just badasses.
I agree. I mean, it's pretty cool and everything. So, I mean, one of the characters I am going to portray is the Dark Phoenix, just because I'm like, I never come out that often as a villain. I guess I do like kind of like a, I don't want to say like an anti-villain in a sense, because anti-hero I think it's called, because I'm not really a Deadpool character, but I'm like, I'm going to do Dark Phoenix for once. And I might as well. I haven't done it yet. I was supposed to, but I think I'm going to do it for Tampa Bay Comic Con coming up in August, but I'm definitely going to
Nice.
try it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how far I get with it. It's their first time, so I'm kind of nervous doing that. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm doing such a big character. To me, that's a big character because, in a way, she's just one of my role models I grew up with. Because even though you're quiet and everything, you have like this whole power inside of you,
Yeah.
and when it's finally pushed out, in a sense, there's a point where you have to control it, and it's really cool. It's like a way of exploring all that, like your actual emotions and everything. Which actually, a newer one explored that totally out there, but they didn't quite cover what it was all about and everything. So that was pretty cool. So I actually did a class into that, so it's really amazing.
Yeah.
But definitely, she was definitely a really big female character for sure, like a really big one. Like I don't know, that's everyone remembers. Like, what's the first thing you remember of? Mine's Jeangray, and then it's got also got Phoenix and Marvel Girl. Next one I switch over to would be probably Scarlet Witch for sure. Those two, I'm like,
Ooh.
wow, they're big booms. So I was like, wow, because those are things I can forget as a kid, other than Wonder Woman and everything. But I mean, comics and show, the anime series, any kind of animations, because I know there's like there's evolution and everything. I'll never forget those too.
Yeah. And oh man, Scarlet Witch is another really underpowered superhero
Yeah,
in the movies. Unfortunately, they didn't give her shit for powers, and
yeah,
in the animated series, even the little mimics, the moments that you see of Scarlet Witch coming out are just fucking awesome. Like
I
she's
know.
powerful as hell, and I mean, your dad is freaking Magneto. What do you expect? You know,
Yeah. And then in the
but
movie, it's different. It's like, wow, it slowly blows your mind. And the movie, it's Avengers. Yeah, Avengers 2. That's another one I'm
yeah,
going to try. But she's totally something different, which is really cool because Elizabeth Olsen, who plays her,
she's
actually
amazing.
did. I know, if you haven't seen it, there's actually a video of her where she describes her character, background, and everything. She goes into it like comics. I'm like, oh my gosh, she knows everything about it. Oh my God, I was crying when I heard that. I'm like, oh my God, she knows about it. I love that. So do I. I'm so excited. But she knew so much about it, and basically, she's like a almost like a human lab rat in a sense.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, in a sense, her and her brother were, but she has so much power and all that. And supposedly, I think that Disney wants to push that where she gets more power. So I'm hoping they do because I would love to see that explored on
oh,
TV, especially on a big screen. Oh, that'd be amazing.
I think she's going to be one of the main Avengers now, right? Coming up now with the basically the new phase that they're doing. I
Yeah,
think
I hope
she's
so.
going to be one of the main Avengers now because she's one of the most powerful, honestly, out of all of them.
Yeah.
So I
I
wouldn't
think,
doubt that
yeah.
she would.
I think she might be dipping her toes in, showing her powers more. I think like it's going to be progressing more, and I hope it does because even in the movies, you could see it progressing more and more, and I
Yeah.
love that so much. Like, wow, that's amazing. Because like I liked how it slowly started getting bigger and bigger until finally at the very end, she's like, it's spoiler alert for Infinity War. She's the one destroying I believe it's the Soul Stone, right? With Vision. That
Yep.
one heart broke me so much. I cried. I cried during the scene. I'll tell you the truth. I cried. I'm a grown woman. I cried so hard about that because I love that character, and I know they're a couple, and I know at some point it does happen, but I was like, no, no, not this way. That's horrible. I cried.
Yeah, that was pretty
Mm-hmm.
bad. That was pretty bad. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, oh,
yeah.
why? She was
That's like an
finally
emotional breakdown. I
happy.
know.
She was finally happy.
And then she has to kill that and kill him at the same time. I'm like, oh no. And she has to stop things at the same time while doing it. I'm like, oh my god, that's heartbreaking. And she's looking at him crying. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no. I'm like, no, that's horrible. Poor thing.
Yeah,
And she's
right?
really good with her powers. And I'm like, oh no. And she's starting to get better with her powers. I'm like, no. And she has to do that now. I'm like, it's horrible. It's like ultimate test you don't want to do. But I
Right.
did like her spoiler coming back in the new one. That was really good. Like that's why I wish sometimes X-Men could cross over the Avengers. So I
I
like
I
that.
think that will happen
Yeah,
now because
I hope
that I
so.
mean they have a huge timeline that they really need to cross over. And if they do what is expected and being announced that they're going to do in TV shows, and that potentially is going to be leading into the Kree, and the Kree are going to lead to what do you call it, uh, oh my god, what's the name of the group that try to stop the, oh my god, I just blanked out,
Oh
tries
no,
to
is it
stop
Marvel?
the Dark Phoenix.
Oh gosh. Oh
um
geez. Oh geez. Oh god. Okay, I just saw them. All right, I know this one. Oh gosh. Oh okay. I'm really brain farting on one too. I have to look
I
up
know,
all
right?
the
But
points
I
and double
mean,
check.
I'm sorry guys, fans
I'm
out
gonna be
there
wrong when I
that,
say it aloud.
right.
Yeah.
um Honestly, they that group that's coming out to stop them and everything, the from the alien race that stops them, they're gonna be kind of, the way that they've said it is the Kree have a jump leap away to this race. So by having introducing the Kree as such important characters in what do you call it, the Avengers already, I think that
Mm,
they're gonna start being able to open up the door to the X-Men
yeah.
franchise again. And I think they could actually tap in to alternate dimensions, which would work out
Oh,
perfectly for them because yeah, that opens up a whole can of worms.
I agree. Isn't Spider-Man the newest one coming out, Far From Home? Isn't he the first one to be dipping his toes into alternate universes or like open
Yep.
universes? Oh, I can't wait to see that one.
And they already did it
I
with
don't know
with
too much.
the Spider-Man animated. So
Yeah.
let's see
Oh,
if
I
they
love
do that
that. That was
because
actually excellent.
right.
Hmm.
Oh my god, that was
Oh my
amazing.
gosh, that was like so good. I'm like, I'm so glad I watched that. Thank you so much for letting me watch that. I got from seeing you. You're like, don't we watch it? I watched it. I was like, oh my god, sorry though. So
The
good.
Shi'ar. Shi'ar is
Yeah.
the name of the race.
Hmm.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ, I'm
there we
so
go.
bad.
It's so
The,
easy to say.
I know, right? The
It's the
Shi'ar
easiest
actually,
ones.
right? They're the ones, the keepers of that giant diamond thing that has the control over all the alternate dimensions. So any dimension could cross over to another dimension by crossing over in that diamond that the Shi'ar protect. And Dark Phoenix is one of those forces that cross over on a regular basis. It's kind of like this thing that crosses between dimensions easily, and that's why it's able to jump from universe to universe so easily. And
Yeah.
hopefully, by doing that, that kind of explains retconning everything that Fox did and
Mhm.
making it its own thing again, which will be really cool because Dark Phoenix would be a huge part of that, I think, and they could springboard immediately and do something with Jeangrey as one of the main characters. Maybe they can even use Dark Phoenix as kind of like, oh, rewind time, let's go back, not disregard everything that happened in Dark Phoenix, but rewind, we're going back into an alternate timeline before these events happen, and they could springboard into everything else, which would be pretty
I
cool.
agree.
because there's a whole lot of timey-wimey bullshit. And yes, that's a Doctor Who term, but it kind of works for X-Men too.
It does work.
Hey, you lovely nerds. This is Joe coming to you from Diversely Geek. Diversely Geek is a global nonprofit that promotes self-acceptance by highlighting the positive messages of fandom. We're all fans of something that has affected us for the better. We like to express that love by embracing our inner geeks with you all on our podcast, Diversely Geek Discusses. We also have a podcast for any Whovians out there called Doctor Who in Review. We often partner with Manbitesmedia, so you're bound to come across us sooner or later. You can find us on all podcast platforms as Diversely Geek Discusses, and on all social media platforms as Diversely Geek. You can also subscribe on our website, diverselygeek.org. Live long and may the Force be with you.
Hello, movie nerds. This is Luis Lacau.
This is William Phoenix.
And I'm your host, Brandon Lacau. Do you search for hours on Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, and Shudder? Always looking for the next show to binge or movie to watch? Before you binge, take a bite with Manbitesfilm.
Out of the abilities that Jeangrey has, this is one of those kind of iconic things that people always ask. What ability would you want as a mutant if you ever had the ability to choose your mutation?
Oh gosh. Oh geez, that's hard. Because I don't think do they have a choice? I don't think the mutants have a choice, so I don't really know.
But it will be pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. That one's hard. I can never figure this out. I usually have to think about it. What would you do if you had a choice?
I would probably do telekinesis and flying.
That'd be cool.
It just, the telekinesis thing, that you could control anybody. That means you have access to anything and everything. The world is your oyster. You could finally make those stupid people on I-4 move out of the way, which would be such a phenomenal thing.
That island.
I honestly, out of people are going to probably hate me for this, but I would probably choose Magneto out of all people, and I would be more like him. If I had to choose a side between Xavier and Magneto, I would be, I would be with Magneto all day, every day, like 100%. His philosophy on life, I agree with, and I think that people are assholes, and sometimes we have to force the hand of others, and I agree with that.
I don't think Stanley would agree with you, but he does understand that.
But
yeah,
I mean,
to her somehow.
Right. But I mean, Magneto, he's
Mm.
not. He doesn't kill people willy-nilly. He doesn't kill anybody unless they're honestly gonna kill him, and he's doing it in self-defense at that point. But and all his crew too. I mean, some of them are freaking psychos, but he doesn't,
they are.
but like when there's a real villain that pops up, like Apocalypse or something, he jumps in and joins on the right side.
Yeah, he kind of does. Like, how do you?
I mean, he's not a bad guy. And that's kind of where X-Men lies. X-Men has that gray area for most of their characters. That's why you can't call Jeangrey a villain or a hero, because she's kind of in between. Half her life is a villain, half her life is a hero. So what is she? She's just a human that has that duality, that has that personality.
Yeah, very human.
So what ability would you choose?
Oh, geez. Oh no, you're turning back to me. Well, I kind of agree with my friend. I like teleportation, but I would kind of scare. I would teleport by accident to someone's shower. I didn't mean to. I'll be so scared.
Oh, come on. You know you would mean to. You know you would mean to.
I think I'll like Sue Storm's ability and be invisible. Let's be honest here, because I'd rather do that than watch the shower by accident, get there and teleportation by accident. Or you think, no one sees me. Hopefully the water became there'll be ghosts. Oh God, I'll run. Oh no, I did it again.
So you end up like a Nightcrawler all over the place.
I know, I probably would, but I'd rather be invisible while teleportation. I mean, we kind of messed up. So like, number one assassin. If someone was in there, that would kind of scare me even worse than them. Probably because I'm like, oh my gosh, you know I'm here. That'll be scary.
That's
Oh
awesome.
gosh, but I think all I do, like, either Sue Storm from Fantastic Four, even though hers was not really mutation, but I think I'll honestly like invisibility or teleportation. I'll just be afraid I'll teleport by accident somewhere else. Kind of like Kurt was saying in Dark Phoenix, you really can't see into certain places. Like, I don't know, not that close. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could see or not, but I'm like, I'll be nervous too about teleporting anywhere like that. I'm like, you guys are on your own.
But
I feel so mean doing that. Like, I'm too scared to do this.
actually,
I'm
now that
sorry.
you brought up
Mhm.
Fantastic Four, it's very
Yeah.
interesting because there's a script going around that has never been produced, but it was something that they were going to produce after X3 came out originally. And the script was basically Fantastic Four versus the X-Men.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
hadn't really thought about that.
And they were going to do a huge like Avengers battle between the two franchises, which actually happens in the comic books apparently. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that would be crazy. And Phoenix was a main part of that because she was the catalyst for the battle, because
Oh,
Fantastic
wow.
Four wanted to stop Dark Phoenix and the X-Men interceded. And with the X-Men interceding, then everybody else got involved, and it was like a whole snowball effect. It turned
Oh,
into
wow.
something like Civil War, you know? Like,
Oh, yeah. You know, I can actually see that too, because I was actually looking at reviews, doing my homework in a sense. I was looking at reviews. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago when I had time during the night. I was looking at reviews of someone, and somebody pointed out a review about how Fantastic Four, how they kind of like it hit them in space in the movie. Just like, it's kind of like that. And I'm like, you know what? I never really thought about this two putting together, but that's like right around the same time they both came out, right? Like similar to each other.
yeah,
I'm
they
like,
both
that
came out
just
around the
hit
same time.
me. Yeah, and I'm like, wow, just Miss Marvel, and then boom, she became Phoenix, and then she became Jeangray, and then Phoenix. I'm like, what? Or I don't know how they even work, but I'm like, wow, because it's really hard. It's a very complex story, but I'm
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. So I can see that happening because they did, like, in the films, they did so much. I haven't seen the newest one. I feel bad now because, like, I should
The
see the
newest
newest
one
one.
is okay. It's
Yeah.
not a great movie. That's another one that really needs to get under Marvel's belt, because that deserves a better movie. Which maybe we could get what do you call it, Chris Evans to go back as Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, I don't think they'll do that. I don't think he will. Would he? I don't know. That's a good question. Did he like that role? I didn't mind him as the Human Torch. I mean, I like the new one too, but I'm like, wow. I'm like, I really thought of that a lot, and then I watched more of his Captain America. I'm like, okay, I see more as Captain America now. I see more as Steve Rogers, which actually I thought about Steve Rogers today when I was figuring out X-Men and everything. I had a wondering moment while I was watching Dark Phoenix Saga, and I was like, okay, the anime series. I'm like, okay, now I feel like Steve Rogers should be here with me while I wonder on questions, because I feel like he'll be clueless as me, hopefully.
I think that was the most cringeworthy part of the whole animated series, was when they tried to include like the Marvel quote unquote MCU characters in there, and I was like,
did notice that.
ooh, that's bad writing right there. That's a really bad writing.
It kind of reminded me of the newest Avengers film, which could be a little bit. I kind of have a feeling she'll be in it. Captain Marvel came in. I'm like, you're waiting for it. When it happened, you're just like, that's it. That's all screen time. What, really? Like that whole movie and that's how much screen time you got in this film. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I felt like that. That was kind of cringe. That was a tiny bit to me cringeworthy, because I was like, okay, there's just so much this, and then I got a couple. I mean, there were good parts no matter what, but it was just like pieces. I'm like, oh, it's like 2 or 3 pieces, I think. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I was watching every character, so it's hard to keep up. But
right,
like,
that's the biggest problem with with that movie, was that it was a lot of stuff, and I mean, you kind of try to tackle all the different things, and I get it. What do you call it? Captain Marvel was the newest character, so technically, she really wasn't. She didn't have to have a huge role in there. Yeah, they underused her because they could have solved the problem a lot quicker.
Yeah, I know.
But
like, well,
I don't think
she was
they
supposed to
knew
be
that.
busy. That's her excuse. which is fine because I'm always busy. So like, I understand that. I understand that.
I'm too busy to save
where
the
you
world,
been?
universe. Sure, whatever.
I think you messaged me. I'm sorry. Hold on. Actually, my phone doesn't send messages, so I'm like, oh no, I don't know who messaged me.
That's what
I feel so
happened.
bad.
She got the new iPhone update. That's what happened.
Oh no, it is probably. Oh no, I like iPhone, but I think it was an update. No. Because that's what happened to me probably. Because I'm like, people message me and it says accept the message, but then I look through and I'm like, oh no, I didn't know this message. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I probably didn't see it. My phone did though. Her pager probably did that. Her pager probably did that.
Yeah, exactly, right? But honestly, what would you like to see before we wrap up? What would you like to see for the Jeangrey character in the future?
Oh, it's gonna be so hard to tackle. I want to see the whole Dark Phoenix saga come through, like from Jeangrey, from I want to see Miss Marvel, and then throw into more Jeangrey, and then throw it like totally different script right in space, like somehow they get. It's just going to be so hard and complex. But I want to see all of it. Let's be honest here. I read the comics. I want to see all of it. I want to see Dark Phoenix, especially the whole Phoenix saga done from beginning to end, which is so hard to tackle. I think that's the hardest thing about Dark Saga. But how about you? What do you want to see?
I want to see them tackle the beginning. Her part of the X-Men still being that quiet person, and then ending a trilogy possibly with Dark Phoenix as the what do you call it, the major thing to move on into more of the series. And I think that's where we could cross over and bring the MCU together with the X-Men franchise, which will be really, really cool.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
New Mutants and stuff like that, we could bring all those together, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
Now, last question I want to ask.
Yeah.
Who did you like portrayal-wise of Jeangrey? And I mean by personality, what the actress actually brought to the character, if any.
Oh, no.
Because it has to be any of them.
Oh, no, this is so hard because I like all of them. Oh, no. Now I'm like going through all. Oh, no, that's too hard for me to answer because there's so many pieces I like about it, like of each one. And I'm like, oh, gosh. I have to go into each character trait that I like that they portrayed. Oh, no, that's too hard for me to answer.
So
I know every single one of them. I'm like, oh, gosh, it's too hard.
You'd say a mashup of each of the characters, each of the portrayals, because none of them was perfect enough.
Yeah, I mean, they were all so good. That's hard. Like with honesty, Dark Phoenix, the only thing I really liked the most was she fit into the role so well. It was just what she was given, I think, couldn't be put out there for Dark Phoenix. I think because she had that quiet mouse look about her, but she had that big boom about her on and off, but it was very quiet. Like, I like that part about a whole lot. And then plus in Apocalypse, which confused everyone, was probably when she came out, that first scene, the Phoenix part. I love that. And I also love the actress all the way from the original X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Like I like X2 where like she was there and you seen it was approaching. Right then and there when you explained that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like the end of X2. You're waiting for it to happen.
That's my favorite portrayal.
Oh, that was so
Jeangrey.
good.
Because she had that personality.
Yes.
She was starting to because of that love affair between Wolverine and her. And that's what sparked her to understand I don't only need to be this mousy person. I could be myself because this person loves me no matter what already. And this other person is attracted to me being my personality and trying to drag my personality out. So that is like awesome because you really get to see her start sparking her like, oh yes, I'm a badass. That's right. I'm a badass.
That was good. That was so good. I love that. I'm like, wow, that scene next to, I'm like, whoa. And then that after scene, I'm like, whoa. Which they kind of try to throw it into, it wasn't the same though, Dark Phoenix, where, believe it or not, everyone's waiting for after credit scene, but it's actually in the film they're waiting for. You'd actually see the Phoenix in the air in the distance. So I'm like, okay, I see what they're trying to do here. They're trying to throw it in there. Slip it in.
Water.
The water was so good. Oh, that's too.
Oh, Alkaline Lake, the whole sequence on Alkaline Lake was freaking awesome. But again, X2 is extraordinary as a film itself.
Exactly.
It's the only comic book movie that that breaks my top 50 movies of all time. It's the
That was
only
good.
one. And that's in my top 20, actually. That's
Oh,
how good it
jeez.
was for me. Because I love that movie. That movie was perfect for me. The music, the acting, the storytelling, the directing, cinematography, everything was just spot on. And it's a glorious film. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely Jeangrey is, in my opinion, one of my favorite X-Men characters. And thank you so much, Amber, for joining us this week.
Fine.
Because, it's always great
It's
to
always
talk
fun.
with a fellow nerd about an awesome character in a
Yeah.
movie, Because,
It was fun.
Amber,
It's
where
always
can
fun.
the fans find you and all that stuff so they can check
Oh
out your
yeah.
content?
Oh yeah, I'm Rose Love Cosplay. I have a Facebook page as Rose Love Cosplay. And I also have Instagram, Rose Love Cosplay. If you have to underscore, you can. And I promise you'll see my photos very fast on there, which is good. I keep up with it.
Yeah, and if you want, you could also just check out the notes below, and you'll be able to see all that stuff in the descriptor for the podcast, and it will have a link straight to her Instagram as well, and you'll be able to find all her amazing cosplays, which she does some freaking awesome cosplays, like your Loki, which is freaking not Loki in any way.
I know, it's so confusing. I actually did it it was actually a cosplay friend, which actually became friends in like outside cosplay. It was actually their friend. It was her birthday, and she asked me it was a Tampa convention. I think it may have been MegaCon. It was years ago. It was maybe about 3 years ago now, maybe 2. I think it was 3
Was
years
it
ago.
Tampa? It was Tampa.
Yes, it
MegaCon,
was
right?
definitely Tampa. So that's
Yeah.
It's around my hometown. That's basically my hometown right there. So I'm always there, if not in Orlando. So yeah, it was her birthday, and she said what she'll really, really love. And I was in Star Trek. I was like, what's that? I wish someone could cosplay Loki for me. I want to at least hug one Loki. And she never hugged. There was no cosplayers doing Loki. There may have been a couple, but they were so hard for her to find. And what's off, she's stationed at a booth. So I looked at her, and she was Cat One at the time. I was like, all right, I got you. So what I did, I turned around and I'm like, should I do it? My friend said, oh, I didn't even know you had that cosplay. And I threw it right together right then. I'm like, oh my gosh, can we do this? And since then, I've been working on it slowly, work my way up. So
Dude,
I'll get there one day.
No, your cosplay is badass. Are you kidding?
Oh, thank you. That's a starter one.
That is an amazing cosplay, and I love
thank you.
that Loki cosplay. Like, those horns are freaking phenomenal, dude. Like, that the whole getup is really good and spot on. It's screen accurate. It's honestly a really good, and that's just one of the many that you do that are really good. So definitely,
thank you.
No, seriously, definitely check her out. Follow her on Instagram, because you could find her on all the different cons that are going on in Central Florida or wherever you may go. And yeah, check us out next week for another episode of Manbitesretro, that we are going to be going deep into another amazing fandom, and that will be announced next week. So follow us, check us out, hit that subscribe button, comment, rate us, show us to your friends, because they'll love this commentary as well if you enjoyed it. So we'll see you guys next week. My name is Luis, and this is Manbitesretro.
As the songs of awakening rang through, the world was created. The silence was broken.
Middle-earth, with its rolling hills, broken mountains, flowing rivers, and beautiful forest, was created.
Cellar Door is a journey into the mythology, the mystery, and the beauty of Middle-earth. Sit back,
close your eyes,
and imagine.
When we were kids, we all had our go-to happy place, our escape. We gravitated to art, movies, bands, musical, or books. Something that did not make us feel alone, but empowered us in a world of love, magic, and adventures. Come with me as we explore the wizarding world with William Phoenix.